Hi everyone. Okay, so I'm back here making another video, and I just wanted to ask you guys a quick question. Does adulthood actually look the way you thought it would? Because motherhood changed that for me, to be honest. Right? It changed everything I thought being grown meant, and I just want to talk about that today. I used to think being grown meant, having things all figured out. Like you hit a certain age, you've checked off some boxes off your bucket list, and then you just know what you're doing, like you've arrived and all of that. I was daydreaming. Anyways, motherhood flipped that whole idea for me, and it didn't make me feel more grown at all. I don't think it made me feel more grown. I feel like it made me realize that I had no idea what grown actually meant, right? I thought, responsibility will feel empowering, right? Like I'm handling this, I'm capable of doing that, I've got this, but the responsibility that comes with motherhood feels very different, right? It's heavier, and it's something that is very constant, right? You can't just check out of it. It's not something you can just clock out of, and you don't really get a break from it as such. You don't get a break, right? Even when you're tired, um, even when you don't feel like you're ready, you don't get a break, right? You just show up because you just have to show up. If you don't show up, what will happen to the children that you've brought into this world? Anyways, and there's nobody clapping for you. There's no performance review. There's no, you've done a great job today. It's just you just doing what needs to be done, right? You keep doing those little things over and over and over again in very repetitive ways, right? And just constant, right? I also thought, being grown meant feeling confident in your choices, right? But I would say motherhood taught me that you can make the right choices, you can make the right decisions and still doubt yourself. Hmm. You can make the right choices and still doubt yourself, right? You can be doing everything you're doing or everything you're supposed to do and still feel like you're just winging it, right? You don't know what you're doing, but you're just winging it. And someday that's normal. And I think that's what motherhood actually looks like. Before I thought adulthood would be louder, like whom a loud call, like there would be this big moment that confirms that I've arrived, right? But motherhood is not loud at all. It's quieter. It made me feel more grounded, more ordinary in a way that I didn't expect. And I would say most days I don't feel there's nothing monumental about it, right? There's just this repetitive feeling, yeah, repetitive feeling where you're just feeding and comforting and cheering and all of that. But somewhere in that repetition, I'm learning what it really means to be responsible for someone else. Um, Not in theory, like in real life, practical. In real life, you know, it's just stretching me in ways I could not have prepared for, right? And honestly, there are some days where it feels very overwhelming. Yes, it feels very overwhelming some days, but it's also teaching me things I don't think I would have learned any other way. Um, you know, like how to just trust God when I don't have answers, right? How to keep going when I'm tired, right? How to not always lean on my own strength, how to love in ways that are not so big, like no dramatic gestures, just steady and just faithful. I think motherhood didn't give me a script. It didn't come with of course, it didn't come with a manual, right? But I would say it did change, what being grown means to me. And it's not about, just having everything all figured out. It's not about, um, me feeling ready, right? I think it's about me just showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when nobody is seeing what I'm doing, and honestly, I'm still learning how to do all of those things. I'm still learning how to show up. I'm still it's something that's continuous, right? And maybe that's the point, right? Maybe being grown is not about arriving. It's not about today, like it's gonna be loud. It's not all about that. I think being grown is about stewarding what you've been given, right? And right now, that's um what these little people in my life, that's what they're teaching me, you know, um to 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 just keep showing up, right? So motherhood changed everything. I thought being grown meant, you know, I used to think being grown meant, feeling ready, and it's just really is just showing up any way you know how to just show up, and I'm still figuring it out as I go. So if you're navigating something that's stretching, um, that is, really stretching you right now, whether it's motherhood or whether it's something else, right? I hope you know this, right? You don't have to have everything all figured out. You are allowed to still, be learning, and we'll keep growing. Thank you for listening.